Hi everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I think of this like I was just sitting here like in a state of like, what do I do? How do I fix the issue? Because I could not get YouTube was not functioning appropriately for me on the back end. And so Edwin was here on time, I was here on time, Philip was here on time, and we all just put our heads together and I restarted the computer. And apparently, YouTube got on board at that point. And I appreciate all of you for just tuning in, being here with us, and being patient. And Edwin, thank you so much for being totally calm during all of that.
Oh, yeah. There stuff like that. I figure things will work themselves out, and if they don't, then that's just kind of what it is.
That's
So,
right. Like, it's a great example of how we can move and flow as life throws things at us, right? Like I was certainly leaning into my, okay, just take a deep breath. And
exactly.
yeah, right. Yeah. Blow on it and reboot, Philip says. That's right. Okay, so in our introductions, I'm Vita, and tonight I have uh, Edwin Bermudez with me. Edwin, would you like to share a bit about yourself?
Yes. So, hi. I am Edwin Bermudez. A little bit about myself. So, I am currently now a transformation coach, a personal trainer, boxing trainer. But prior to that, I was really big in the restaurant scene in the Lehigh Valley here. And my life was just kind of chaotic. I was very much on autopilot. And not that I regret the life that I had prior to what it is now. I had so many awesome experiences. Um, but the habits that I developed, the trauma that I had never addressed, it permeated into every aspect of my life, and things kind of came to a head eventually. And those of you who are familiar with my journey or already know pretty much my whole story, but just for those of you tuning in that have never heard, so I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have about 3 years of recovery under my belt, and things came to a head July 2022, and I decided to make a choice. I either could keep living the way that I was living or try something new and different and scary and healing. And I'm so glad that I made the latter choice. And through that, I refound myself. I rekindled my relationship with my daughter, who has been such a driving force in my healing. And through that, I took my health seriously. Prior to me quitting, I was 340 pounds. I was I went to the gym, but I would say I was more uh, preventing morbid obesity versus actually like getting in shape. So, um, but yeah, through all of that, I found this passion of training, and my journey started to inspire other people. And through that, I found this newfound calling and purpose to, through what I had learned over these past 3 years, incorporate that into the wellness coaching that I provide.
Mm.
And that, in a nutshell, is pretty much me. I could go into way more detail, but we'd be here for hours. So I
Well,
wanted
I
to at
love
least,
that. I love that encapsulation and really like how our experiences inform our ability to care for ourselves and then offer it out, right? Like we have to offer it in first. I love that.
yes.
So thank you so much for sharing and for being here. And also just thank you to Philip, who's always here supporting the chat and
Thank you, Philip.
tonight supporting the tech stuff and reminding me reboot. uh, so I'm gonna breathe us into the space. Um, and for anyone watching now or later, go ahead and just settle into the position that feels comfortable for you. Bring your attention to following your breath, simply following it in its natural rhythm as it moves in and out. Notice the feeling of breath in your body, being present with this now moment. Acknowledging anything that comes up in your body, your mind, your emotions, and then returning your attention to your breath. Then offer a feeling of gratitude to yourself for being present and tuning in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes back up. And that too, right? Like the breathing practice, tending within so we can show up without. Like I know I
Mm-hmm.
feel more settled.
I
Just,
do.
you
I feel a
know?
lot more settled now than I did like 10 minutes ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're like a minute ago trying to figure out the. Oh, I guess that was 10 minutes ago already. Yeah. Oh, so Edwin and I will be chatting about some questions that we have agreed to bring to the table. Please feel welcome to comment or ask questions in the chat now or later. I'm always going to keep an eye on the comments. And so if you have a question for either of us later, you will get a response. um, and and then Edwin's going to be sharing a practice with us at the end. So yeah, I'm excited. So our first question is uh, Edwin shared his bio with me, and in sharing it, you shared a mantra. And everyone can find the bio in the description if you want to read the whole bio, which is amazing. So please do. So the mantra that you shared is healing happens when you stop abandoning yourself. How can we recognize the places where we're in the habit of abandoning ourselves?
Ah, man. Like when I saw this question and like posing the mantra back, I was just like, it, it's become very second nature for me now to kind of like understand when that happens. But what it was initially for me was picking up a drink when I was frustrated about something, or if I knew I had something that I needed to accomplish, but I was doom scrolling and I just gave it another swipe or another episode to watch.
Mm,
Saying yes to things that I didn't have the energy or capacity to fully perform or be present for it, but saying yes anyway, and
mm,
instead of saying no, you
mhm,
know, and I feel like we all do it a little bit differently, sometimes it can look like ignoring your body's need for rest when you're working really hard. You're pulling 60, 70-hour weeks, and that belief we tell ourselves that we're sacrificing, so it's like a badge of honor,
mhm,
but but we're not. We're constant. A lot of people constantly are doing that when you're people pleasing, and then you're building up this resentment or numbing out on social media. There's just so many different ways that it happens.
well, I think
But
that to me, like that just like set off bells, right? Is the danger of leaning so far into our coping mechanisms that it becomes avoidance and builds that internal resentment, right? And I
mhm,
experienced that it, or when I have experienced that, like the truth is on the other side of introspection and self-work that that resentment is really always self-directed because I wasn't showing up for myself. And so recognizing that, I think is such a gift, that practice.
And it does. It's like that power. I love. I'm not like say what people want. I love TikTok. There's just so much that I've
Yeah,
learned.
it's great community.
It's one of those like it's a power that could be used for good. And
Mhm.
there's just a lot of tools that so it's a lot of tools that I've developed, and especially I love the one where it's the pause, the power of the pause. Like before you do that behavior that would normally like give you that little dopamine hit, take that pause. It's like, does this behavior serve what I'm trying to do right now? Is it like in alignment with me, or am I just trying to run away from something?
Yeah.
And it really is like helpful to have that power of the pause for a second before you indulge in a thing and just ask yourself that question. And more oftentimes than not, you'll get the answer right away. Or like, what would I tell my best friend to do?
Hmm.
That's always like a good one too, if you don't have that internal disciplinarian yet. But most of the times it's like speaking compassionately to yourself. A lot of times we find it hard. But what I tell, especially my clients and stuff, it's like talk to yourself how you would your best friend. Like, would you tell your best friend that you're working out like shit and you're not eating good and you're a slob and you're not doing anything right? No, like you would tell your best friend you're doing great and
Yeah.
highlighting the things that they're doing awesome, but also being compassionate about where they could be better.
Hmm.
And same thing with ourselves. And the sooner we're able to develop that, the better we will be in the long term and the short term, but definitely the long term.
For sure. You know, I'm thinking like you said interdisciplinarian, and that caught my attention because like from teaching the four agreements for so many years, I think about the inner critic a lot. Um, and the inner judge, I think, is how he describes it. And then studying psychology, the inner critic. And and that's part of what Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements describes um, as like the domestication process. Our parents, society, everything that teaches us from a young age that we just internalize without questioning, like
Yeah.
teaches like it's based on our society is pretty heavily based on rewards and punishment.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shifts to that with gentle parenting, which I love.
Hmm.
And also there are a lot of adults who went through a very heavy and strictly focused punishment reward system and developed this inner critic. Yeah, me too. Yeah. And and so I like to think of, right, like my journey, part of my journey has been developing inner support so that I can have all of those positive things that you were describing. Um,
Hmm.
like and I love the prompt of what would you say to your best friend? I love that one. I say that. I say, yeah, I love those tools. Those are great tools that you're sharing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I like to think of cues. Cues really work well for me when I'm like working with a new practice and trying to incorporate
Mm.
it. Um, so what would you do you this is not a question that we this is like a follow-up question.
Yeah.
What do you have something that acts as a cue for you when you notice that you're like abandoning yourself?
I mean, I guess some of it falls into that like somatic awareness in a
Hmm.
sense. Like I've developed through me watching videos and talking in communities and through my support groups and everything, just that somatic awareness of like, where do I feel this?
Hmm.
Because generally I know like generally my that icky, it's like either on my tummy or my throat gets a little tight or I feel the tightness in my chest. I feel my shoulders come up. Like I'm very aware of when those things happen. So I guess that'd be something for whoever's watching to kind of like a really good tiptoe, get your toe wet in the pool there a little bit to kind of when when you're starting to do those things that you know aren't good, really pay attention to what you're feeling in your body. Like try to be aware of it. Even if it's something as small as like my stomach feels a little flippy floppy. Like because that's something. That's your body telling you something. And I think the more you can lean into that self-awareness, not just mind-wise, but body-wise,
Mm-hmm.
um, the body will do what it needs to do to protect itself,
Mm-hmm.
even when your mind is trying to supersede it. Like I always equate it like when people like get burnt out or they pass out and they're like, "Oh man, I just worked like this. I've been working out for like 4 hours straight. I didn't really eat this morning. I just like passed out." And like that's your body's way of telling you, "We're done. Like
Right.
we're done.
Yeah. We've
If you ain't
reached
gonna do it,
maximum
we're
capacity.
gonna do it for you." So it's just, it really, if we can be aware of what the body tries to tell us before we do the things, we'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, 100%. I love the somatic cues. That's great. That's a great tip. That's great. Um, so are you ready? We'll move on to the second question.
But do we?
Okay. How can we turn our fitness practice into a sacred practice?
Oh man. Well, I love the word sacred. And I think like some people can kind of take it to like the hyperbolic way of like, you don't have to like have incense burning and chanting before you go to the gym, But if you are, I think at the base is intention. Like that's what makes it sacred. Like, what is my intention of moving my body? Like, I'm not just going to the gym so I can burn 400 calories and gain 15 pounds of muscle. And like, I go to the gym to soothe my spirit, strengthen my body, and heal my mind. Like, that's what that is for me.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah,
know, it really is like it's that trinity there, essentially. It's like the best way I can describe that.
yeah. The trinity of body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Because
that. I like
one can't operate without the other. Like
absolutely.
it just can't.
Yeah.
Not efficiently anyway.
Right. I love that. Now, in studying rituals, really that is the most important thing, like is the intention. No matter where the ritual is coming from, if it's coming from an organized religion, a spiritual practice, a daily habit, like a family picnic, right? That's still a ritual. You're setting up pieces
Yeah.
and parts to it. And everything when we're putting the pieces in place, when you're putting your gym clothes together, right? Or when I'm going outside to be with nature, like all of that is absolutely developed by the intention. The intention is, I experience the intention as the foundation that I can like
Yeah.
springboard off of.
No, but I love that you brought the preparation aspect of it too, because that is a part of the whole ritual. Like me getting my wraps ready and my boxing shoes and my gloves, or if I'm gonna go hiking, I'm making sure I have my trekking poles and my shoes and my water. And so I love that there's that aspect of it, then also the mental aspect of it. And then, yeah, so hell yeah, I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And like, so peak experiences are what we call experiences where you're just completely present, right? Like, depending on your relationship um, with the idea of God, then you might call it an experience with God. But it's a divine like connection. It is that complete presence of mind, body, and spirit. It is like
Yeah,
when we're just in the zone, in the moment, and everything is flowing, right? We see that
yeah,
and so like having that springboard, the intention of a sacred practice, and then moving into a peak experience where, just like breathing into the container here, where like, acknowledging thoughts that come up and then returning to the focus of whatever it is, a movement or a practice, and acknowledging feelings that come up and returning to the practice. So all of those things get acknowledged, which back to the analogy of what would you say to your best friend, right? We know from interacting as humans together and from receiving support, the most important part of receiving support is feeling heard, feeling seen, feeling acknowledged. And showing up with that for ourselves creates this really safe space where I know that I can express better. Like I can't show up here and be fully present unless I am self-tending before I get here.
And I try to emulate that with my clients as well.
Mhm.
Like that really plays into my coaching. It's like when we're here, like, what is our intention?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And making sure I keep them focused and keep them on the path, because that's my job, when I'm there. I'm there to, and not even just because it's my job, because I'm invested. Like I really truly love my clients. And each of them have their own journey, each of them have their own things that they got going on. But I can say with unequivocally, without a doubt, that they all show up and that their intentions are pure. And because of that, they've all been able to attain a lot of the goals that they've been working towards.
Mhm.
So I count myself very grateful that I get to be a part of that and they get to share that with me. And then I get to share a part of what I do with them. And it's a funny thing actually, because one of my clients, she just recently became a trainer herself. And it wasn't even anything like, like, oh, I'm going to train her. And then like, this is my intention of her. It blossomed into this thing. So
Yeah.
it's really beautiful how when the intentions are pure and you're there to help people, how it manifests into like another branch essentially. It's like this other
Yes.
branch growing out, and then that person might
Yeah.
help another person. And it's a
Well,
beautiful
and
thing.
yeah,
And I love it.
and it's like I love I feel lit up by just the idea of like, we never know where the end is going to be or like and what it's going to look like. And we can see it's like I love the analogy of hiking a mountain. I know I share it a lot, but like but when we're hiking a mountain from the base of the mountain, we know we're going to see something beautiful. And we're probably going to see lots of different views as we ascend the mountain. And all of the views at all of the heights as we go up, where we can see through the trees, they're all beautiful. They're all incredible. Being in the forest is incredible, right? When we're in that present mindset and just being there and moving through it, even if it's hard, even if the trail is making us sweat and work really
Oh
hard for
yeah.
it. And then we get to the top and it's even every time, even if it's the same trail, the same mountain, every time it's even more beautiful, even more surprising, right? Like even on a cloudy day, because
Yes. Yes.
there's still just this incredible experience of being at the
Some of my
top.
favorite hikes are on a foggy day.
Yeah.
So there's just this very ethereal feel to it that's
Yeah.
just very mythical and magical and kind of a little creepy, but there's just this element of it that's just like, yeah, I love hiking is one of my favorite things. So I love that analogy too of there's all these different perspectives and how you could walk the same path or someone could walk the same path, but they'd see completely different things
Absolutely.
and experience totally different views. So life's funny.
Even when we're walking together,
Yeah.
right?
I
Like we
might
could be
catch a
what?
bug or something, and you might see this like really beautiful tree in front of you, and
Yeah.
but we're on the same path. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess our third question
Yeah.
is how can we remember our authentic selves?
Uh, hmm. think it's really hard to remember who that is, considering what the world throws at us, and especially as we're getting older, Um, I'm a millennial, and I know like a lot of my Gen X millennial friends, like we're all kind of, I feel like I don't know if it's just like our generation, but I feel like there's been this like collective like rebirth in a sense of like we're getting back in touch with that part. I akin it to the childlike wonder is the authentic self. It's that part that like still gets excited when they see an escalator.
Mm.
It's that part that still gets excited when they see a fireworks or they see the Christmas tree or they see a frog in a pond. It's like those. But at some point, we had to trade in those exciting parts of us because we had to pay attention in class, or we had to focus on our job, or based on whatever moments and times society has put upon us to affect our worldview and chip away at that. And then you get a lot of people who are just shells of who they used to be. And it's scary. So that when you actually do begin this journey of trying to reconnect with that, it's really peeling back like so many layers. It's a very meticulous process. And there's some days you make some crazy groundwork and you dig down pretty deep. And then there's some days where you peel something and it's a bit sensitive and it's like a recoil. It's like,
Yeah, and not today is always an okay. Is always okay.
no. But
But
I know for a fact that what's helped me reconnect with that more and more is like what makes me feel really light and what makes me feel heavy.
mhm,
Like what choices make me feel like I'm not heavy and not grounded in a way that's like grounded is awesome. I love being grounded, but heavy in like in a sense of like I feel like I can't move freely
mhm.
in
Restricted.
in my or and they're very restrictive. Yeah, so that's like more of like the heavy of what I mean. But if something makes me feel light and fluttery and free and fancy and all that, like then I know that that's where I want to lean. And even if it feels uncomfortable at first because I haven't been there in a while, it's okay. Like
Mhm,
usually like I give it like a good like 2 minutes of stewing in that thing. And if the more I stew in it, the more excited I become, then I know that that's the right thing. And I
mm,
know that that's something I really want to do. And
mm.
that's a behavior I want to emulate, or that's a path I want to embark on.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is reconnecting to because I mean, for me growing up, not for nothing, I grew up in a really emotionally immature household in terms of parents. Um, and so a lot of it stemmed from obedience and being seen, not heard, and not really having boundaries. It was more or less of obedience than there was in terms of like us being who we really were and having like healthy objections to things. And it was more or less like, if you don't like this, tough shit. This is just what it is. And when you grow up like that, and then you start to reconnect with your inner child and you start to lean in onto those things, it can be really unsettling and really uncomfortable because you can feel really guilty for doing those things at first. You can feel really selfish. You feel almost icky. And most of the time that's the programming. That's just years of programming that you have to like deconstruct. That could be
And
like a whole episode on its own, but
and unfelt feelings, right? Feelings that you didn't have the opportunity.
yeah. Like you said, being seen and heard and understood is like one of the most important things. If not, if in terms of being like a human, like that's our core need is to be seen, heard, and understood. And when you don't have that, you feel so disconnected from who you are. And I felt so disconnected for a long time. So it's like, even though I'm 39, I still feel very young in certain aspects because I'm just starting to learn how to navigate my emotions, how to name them. learning what's mine and what's not, you know, like all of that stuff, it takes a lot of intentional work and effort and courage because it's scary as fuck. It's really scary.
Yeah.
Confronting who you were, who you are, who you were, what you knew, what you know now. Um, Going through those moments of being elated and so happy because you're like, I'm not crazy, and like that, I'm actually like, I'm not an asshole, and then you get pissed off because then you realize you start to remember all the messed up stuff that you went through and all the trauma, and then it can hit you like a ton of bricks, and a lot of it is kind of taking it one little chunk at a time, and
Yeah,
that makes the process a lot easier and bearable and smooth, although it's not guaranteed. But that's the best I could do in terms of articulating that whole process.
yeah. Oh, it's great. And Philip threw in the chat awesome description of threading your path by feel, which absolutely it is leaning into what feels light, what feels heavy, and having all of that process. Like I think about, I mean, you definitely reminded me of my own process. I love tools of, I think of like healing our, I think of my ability to heal the past as like a superpower by like going in, and one of my favorite ways to do that is to, when I'm feeling something that feels icky, to ask myself when the first time I remember feeling that feeling is,
Mm,
and then to go into that memory and give myself whatever love and support I needed in that moment that I didn't have, even if it's just words or a hug or whatever it is. And that always changes. It shifts my internal landscape so that I can show up when the context is really hard. Like right now, we're living in a world where the context is hard, where there are, people in danger and uncomfortable and a lot of really hard things going on. And also,
yeah, I've been scared myself, so
yeah, yeah. And in order to keep showing up, we have to self tend. We have to
yeah.
take care of ourselves so that we can make the changes that we can make.
Hmm. And also, it's like when, I made a post, I did a story about this yesterday, but essentially, like when we're on this journey of reconnecting with that, the people who aren't on that journey, that aren't supportive, they're gonna be kind of about it. They're gonna feel threatened, and that can be really disconcerting along the way. But as long as you know in your heart that the people that are for you are gonna root for you, it is, it doesn't make the discernment easier, but it definitely gives us some kind of pause of like, at least I have some knowledge of like who's there and who's going to support me and who's not.
Well,
Because having a
and
tribe is really important.
that can
It's really
shift.
important. Yeah.
Like I know that there have been certain times in my life where I've needed boundaries in certain relationships that I no longer need, right? Because one of the things that I've experienced is, and some people fell away because absolutely that happens. But like one of the
It's
things
happened to
that,
me.
and one of the things that I've experienced is that as I've, like we talked about in the first question, when I wasn't showing up for myself, I thought that I resented other people, and when I went to do the self work, I realized that it was really I was resenting myself for not showing up for myself. And similarly, like when that mirroring effect happens, when someone has a reaction to me, I now go inward and say, and like ask, where is my part in this? Because whether or not I want to continue nurturing that relationship, if there's something that I reacted to as well, like if I had an internal emotional reaction, then I know that there's something for me to learn or some way that I was participating. Because the emotions are literally participation, right? So, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here and discussing these questions with me. I,
Of
I
course.
love this.
I'm so honored to do this. So thank
We're
you for
already
having me.
at the time for you to share your practice if you're ready for that.
I am. All right. So so generally for my practices, I base a lot of it in gratitude. Especially being in the 12 steps, working those, gratitude has been such a saving grace for me. Um, so sometimes when I'm feeling a little, triggered, overwhelmed, it's simple. But if you want to close your eyes and take a deep breath, and now I want you to think of one thing in your life, big or small, that you're grateful for. And it could be your family, your morning coffee, your pet, the fact that you even made it here tonight. Whatever comes up first, just go with it. Now, I want you to add another. What's something else? Maybe it's the music you love, the roof over your head, or the way the sun feels on your skin. Just keep going. One after another. Don't overthink it. Just blurt them out in your head. And the faster you go, the more your nervous system's going to start to shift out of stress and into presence. Now, a big reason why my practice is this way is my brain is like a roulette. It goes really fast. So sometimes it's really hard for me to do the meditation thing. But if I can hyper focus on one awesome thing, and all of these really singular awesome things will pop up. So for those of you who are neurospicy or have difficulty focusing on meditation, I hope that this practice helps you. So when you're ready and you get that big old smile on your face, open up your eyes.
Thank
The
you for that. That's lovely. I love gratitude.
gratitude attitude.
Yeah. And I definitely have a neurospicy brain. Um, my first meditation that I really synced into was nature meditation, which is just standing outside and being present with the trees. Trees were my like nature.
I guess I do that quite a bit then, because that's generally
Yeah.
that or sleep meditation. But
Yeah, like
hiking's like my meditation.
right, like so. So we in here in the West, we talk a lot about meditation as like a seated thing, but it really meditation is simply the practice of being in any form. So Zen Buddhism has this lovely walking meditation practice, um, which is just like slow motion walking, which is very cool.
It's like
And
I dig that.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
um, and and then any kind of movement can be its own meditation. So but thank you. I love gratitude and I love that you stacked everything on top. That was wonderful.
Like building a big old Jenga tower of happiness.
Yeah. Gosh. So yeah, thank you everyone for just tuning in and everybody who was here beforehand and hung out with us anyway, even though we were a couple minutes late. Um,
Yeah.
and thanks again, Edwin. I'm so grateful that you've been here.
No, oh my God. Just a quick thing. Just for those of you tuning in, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my username is at JackedInTheBox86. I am currently working on an awesome 12-week transformative uh, wellness program. It's called the Heroes Protocol. I'm currently taking some applications. Link is in my bio if you want to check it out. And
Very
again,
cool.
thank you, Vita, so much for having me today.
Yeah.
And this was awesome. And if you ever want me in the future, you let me know.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and similarly, anybody who's still watching, please please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. Stephanie Stewart just gave you a shout
Aw, I love you, Steph. She's one of my friends. I love her
out.
so much.
That's very sweet.
I'm so glad you watched.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna sign off. Um, I love me. I love you. I love us. I'll see you soon.